Good morning. Zosan, Suhki hotu, Ayubowan. Language and greetings are an important part of our cultures. Do we need to pay more attention of how we express ourselves? It's about time, says Dr. Ananda Kumarasiri, a former Malaysian diplomat and Dharma teacher.
And first of all, sir, I would like you to explain, what do you mean by living by Buddhism? How practical is this?
Suhki hotu Dhammaputri Swandini. I see that you're a little bit bewildered by this greeting. You greeted me Ayubowan, which is a beautiful greeting, born out of a Buddhist heritage and Buddhist culture. But Suhki hotu is a universal greeting, again born out of Buddhist heritage and Buddhist culture. It is a very meaningful greeting. Unfortunately, we have lost it. We have such a rich heritage of Buddhist culture and tradition. Hardly anybody greets each other by Suhki hotu. Suhki hotu means may you be happy and well always. Instead, when we meet each other, we wish each other good morning, or good afternoon, or good night. And I used to wonder about this greeting simply because there's nothing good about the morning. What happens when you read the newspapers? You get so disgusted, you get so upset with all the disturbing news that you read, and yet you wish each other good morning. There is a bomb that has gone off, and there is some massacre taking place somewhere, there is a rape, and there is some robbery, some theft, some accident has taken, some disaster somewhere, and we go on saying good morning without even thinking that there is no meaning in this greeting. This is the problem that we have faced, and I don't know whether you thought about it, but I'd like to ask you, normally you ask questions, but this time I want to ask you a question. Why is it that we go on wishing each other good morning when there is no meaning in it, there's nothing sensible in it, there's nothing fantastic about it? Why is it that we do this?
Well, I think, sir, people have this mentality since most probably because we were under the British for some time. They sort of, I don't know why, but they sort of find it somewhat embarrassing to say Ayubowan, or perhaps they might think, okay, if I say Ayubowan, what might the other person think?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
You're right. It's an accident of history. We have borrowed something from the outside and throwing away what we have, for centuries and centuries we've been using. The other point about this greeting of good morning is that, there's nothing, not only there's nothing good about the morning, when you wish somebody good morning, you're not wishing the person, you're wishing the time of the day. You meet the same person in the afternoon, you wish the person good afternoon. You wish him at the night, you meet him at the night, you wish him good night. Which means that you're not wishing him, you're actually wishing the time of the day. And we keep on doing it simply because, as I like to indicate, it's because of a process of acculturalization. I like to use the word acculturalization, is that because we have been taught this way, and everybody else is doing it, therefore we also do it unthinkingly.
Exactly.
The important thing is we do it unthinkingly. And from small we have been taught in English as well as in our own language, Suba Utasanak Weva, Suba Sandavak Weva, Suba Ratriak Weva, which doesn't make any sense. Now we need to really promote the practical and aspects of Buddhism and the practice of Buddhism. Suhki hotu is a universal greeting. It cuts across all cultures, all traditions, all races, all regions, all nationalities, wherever you come from. You can still greet somebody else Suhki hotu. As I said, it means may you be happy and well always. Not just the morning, not just the afternoon, not just the night, but always. And it's a universal greeting. You can greet anybody with that greeting. Now, if you go to any of the traditional Buddhist countries, you will find very rich greetings. You illustrated by greeting me, Ayubowan, may you have a long and prosperous life. Again, born of Buddhism, because it is born out of this concept that we have, or the cultural heritage we have, called Brahma Vihara. Sukhi hotu is born out of metta, of karuna, of mudita, and of upeka. And when you wish somebody Sukhi hotu, and when you put your palms together in a lotus bud formation, you are wishing the other person, may you bloom like a lotus. And in Buddhist concept and symbolism, the lotus bud, when it blooms into a beautiful lotus, it is a symbol of wisdom, symbol of purity, symbol of the goodness that we have in ourselves. So it's a very meaningful greeting, and this has been adopted in many of the countries. If you go to Japan, for example, today, of course, they wish each other Ohayo gozaimasu, konbawa and konnichiwa, again the aping of the Western greeting of good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Whereas the traditional Buddhist flavored or Buddhist inherited greeting is O genki desu ka? Are you well? You know, it's a beautiful greeting. And in China, in the good old days, for example, I'm just illustrating because I want to show that the Buddhist religion had a tremendous impact on the way people think and on the way the people behave and the people lived. So when somebody met another person in China during those days, they used to wish each other Sek Pao Mei, which means have you eaten? Because, you know, out of your karuna and metta, the first thing you want to find out from the person is whether he had had a meal. Everybody was starving and dying out of starvation and famine.
I think the Buddha himself practiced that.
Oh yes, yes. He says before you even want to preach the Dhamma, please give the person some food, because in an empty stomach, what can he think? He's only thinking about his hunger. So these are all very Buddhistic, aspects which comes out in a society, in a culture. And, you know, we have had over 2,000 years of Buddhist culture in Sri Lanka, and it is very evident, but as I said, unfortunately much of it is lost, and I think we need to try and revive these things.
Namo tassa
Sukhi hotu Dhammaputri and Dhammaputras.
Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavate